Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Backyard Watch podcast. We're your host, Eric Wall. And Jeff.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey. Hello, I'm here. Happy Monday, y'all. Backyard Watch podcast hype. Let's go.
Yeah, the official Backyard Watch podcast. We don't really have any guests this week, which we're fine with, right? At this point.
We're still cool people.
Yeah, we would like some guests from Channel 1138. You know,
It'll happen. I have faith, buddy. It'll happen, Eric.
We still need the creator of Backyard Watch to come on here, Mr. Chris Sequel.
Chris, where are you, buddy? You're awesome, Chris. Best in the biz here. Woo woo.
Nice. All right. You want to get into news?
Sure. Unless there's something else to talk about. Yeah.
I don't know.
So this is the Backyard Watch podcast, y'all. This is a show that is on every Monday at
From
7 p.m. Eastern on channel 1138, or posted later through our YouTube channel. Do you remember YouTube?
Every Thursday, this will be posted on YouTube.
Nice, and it's just basically Eric and myself. I'm Jeffrey. We talk about a bunch of stuff. We've been involved in the old iteration of Backyard Watch on this channel from a couple years ago, and it was awesome. It was a fun time, and so as a way, Eric had this sweet idea to make the Backyard Watch podcast. So here we are, and we're just here to talk about the latest news and just talk about what we want to talk about, and mostly Star Wars and geek news and Marvel news and the stuff that interests us. So welcome. I'm glad you're listening. If you're listening right now, kudos to you. It's immense dedication. And if you're listening to the archive, I just love it that you're listening to us either way.
I listen to things on the archive, so I know where you're coming from, buddies.
It's like a real podcast.
Yeah.
Most of the podcasts I listen to like days after. So just welcome. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thanks.
And let's dive into the news. Some great news. What's going on in the news, Eric?
A couple things happened this week. Ewan McGregor has said that the Obi-Wan movie won't happen for a while, which I'm just waiting for this, really, because it's what everyone's been asking for. It's something that we haven't gotten to see in the new canon as much, like in between episode 3 and 4. The only type of media that we get from that point is Rebels and some comics.
So he was. Has he been in Rebels more than he was in season 1? I'm not caught up on that show.
Nah, not really. It's more.
I know he was in a hologram, giving a speech.
And then he was in Twin Suns.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then of course his archival footage was used in The Force Awakens, and the recent teaser for The Last Jedi. We heard archival footage of Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
So I'm a little disappointed that Ewan McGregor's just there's not an Obi-Wan movie. I think he's just trying, in my personal opinion, I think he is calming down the fans who are so hyped for this. Obi-Wan is my favorite character in the Star Wars universe. And I would be devastated if there was never an Obi-Wan anthology film, because that would be something that would work wonders for this canon. So
yeah.
I am. You were gonna say, Eric? Sorry.
No, I was just saying. Yeah, I was just agreeing. I do like Obi-Wan too, but we haven't been getting that much besides a few comics about him.
Yeah. And comics are all fine and dandy. I go to the comic store every 2 weeks, but that would be cool. It would be cool to see a live action. I have a feeling there may be an Obi-Wan movie. There probably is that Ewan McGregor is doing a bunch of things. He's been doing a few movies lately. I forgot the names of them. Do you remember the movies that Ewan McGregor's been doing?
He just did Trainspotting 2, and
Wasn't there a movie where he was two characters at once, and he's like back and forth between like his voice?
I think you're thinking of Split, and I think you're thinking of who's the guy who plays young Professor X? I forget. The world may never know.
Yeah, it's not Patrick Stewart. He's old.
McAvoy, James McAvoy. I think you might be thinking of, and maybe I don't know. But he also did Beauty and the Beast recently, which he's still doing Disney things. So I think he is in talks, and not directors, the heads of Lucasfilm probably don't want him saying it yet. I still think that we're probably going to get something during D23 in the summer.
Oh, when is that? That's happening?
Yeah, sometime in the summer.
Interesting.
Yeah, hold on.
Nice. I mean, I think the last one there wasn't much Star Wars stuff.
No.
Like, I think they had a panel or something, but yeah, that would be cool. It's just it would be awesome if an Obi-Wan movie could happen. I mean, obviously, the next anthology film is the Han Solo movie.
Yep.
Coming in about a year from next month. Less than 13 months away. Like, holy cow. But there's been rumors and talk about Star Wars movies going on and throughout the after Episode 9. There's been rumors and talk about Kathleen Kennedy's mentioned something about wanting to do more movies. So I don't think the possibility is closed off. It just is for the next few years. That's what I think. But I'm sure I have confidence that it will happen. Keep your fingers crossed, Obi-Wan fans. It'll come.
I just hope that they don't try to make a trilogy out of this, because that was the rumor for a while that there's going to be a trilogy. I don't think we need a trilogy with Obi-Wan. I think we just need one movie, maybe. Yep. Yeah,
definitely.
All right.
So yeah, Obi-Wan hype. Let's go. Favorite character. You're gonna make a movie, Ewan. Come on, let's go. What else is in the news, buddy?
Cloak and Dagger. You familiar with Cloak and Dagger?
I'm familiar with it in its general context.
Okay.
Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah.
But because I've used cloaks and daggers in various video games. But I'm assuming you mean a branded film. I'm assuming that's what you mean. And I'm unfamiliar with that, so give me some context.
Yeah. They're a superhero duo. Cloak is a African American male, and Dagger is a white female. And they're getting a TV show on Freeform, which used to be ABC Family. And the trailer released recently. Like sometime either last week or sometime in the weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. It doesn't seem like that they may have their original costumes yet, which I'm a big fan of. Like
scarcity, resources and stuff. I'm not too shocked.
It's an MCU production, so that's the good thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I did not. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It makes more sense now. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah.
I guess that's basically it. Cloak can teleport, and Dagger has daggers, basically. And I'm looking forward to this. But it's on ABC, so
it's on Freeform.
It's on Freeform. I don't think it's gonna be that good, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is okay at times, but
okay. Oh my God, Eric. Okay, it's freaking amazing, man. Sorry. Part of it is I haven't caught up with this. I think we're on season 4 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I think
we're on season 5 now.
Son of a biscuit! Oh my God.
I might be wrong about that. It's either 4 or 5.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is awesome, man. Come on, Eric.
Now I'm wondering.
Anyway,
maybe it is season 4.
You're making with Cloak and Dagger? I'm sorry.
just ABC's take on some Marvel shows. I don't know. The Netflix series have been way better.
Well, because the Netflix shows, they can get darker. They can use
which is a little bit better.
That are meant for a rated R audience.
Yeah.
But I like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's a jolly show, man. It's Coulson. How much better can you get?
I love Coulson.
Or Greg.
I won't lie right now. I do love Coulson.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
High five. Yeah, high five.
Yeah, there we go. Hopefully that didn't clip the mic.
Did a high five through the internet. It was awesome.
Yeah, I do like what they're doing right now in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't want to really spoil it, but yeah. All right.
Yeah, I just got season 2 on Blu-ray because it's ever since the Blu-rays have been released very sporadically. It is very hard to find them in the market. So I finally got season 2 on Blu-ray for Christmas, and I heard season 3 just came out on Blu-ray, but it's hard to get because I don't know. I don't understand Marvel's consensus with their home media. I think they just like Netflix. Maybe that's it.
I like Netflix.
So I apologize. I'm a little behind. I watched some of season 3 and then I kind of stopped watching TV because of a bunch of stuff that I've been doing. You know, I'm a music major. I gotta practice. You know, I gotta study. But yeah. That's interesting. I'm back to the main point about Cloak and Dagger. It sounds like an intriguing concept. Whether it'll execute well, that remains to be seen. But it would be cool. That would be awesome if it did well for Freeform.
Yeah.
Considering Freeform is becoming one of those cable networks that is starting to lose its relevancy, especially in the era of cord cutting. And as a cable network itself, it's not doing as well as like their mobile apps are, people streaming it and whatnot. So I hope that Cloak and Dagger will execute, with the Marvel brand, and it'll have great stories, and it'll attract attention from the audience, and in a good way, of course. And that I hope it does well for Freeform. Hope it has success with it. Yeah. So yeah, Cloak and Dagger hype. Let's go.
Yeah, that's all you can really hope for is successful. Like, Marvel has been successful in 9 times out of 10 of their properties. Yeah. So in the past decade, it's been a very successful entertainment brand. Yeah. Obviously because of the films, but also because of their TV shows, media, and actual comic books. Yeah. Those have been doing well too. Both comic books that tie into the films and comic books that don't. Yeah, just the synergy. Yeah. Is this confirmed to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Yes, it is. And because I know the majority of the Netflix shows, obviously Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter, they have connections to the movies and other TV shows within their brand. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see the connections, to see if they'll execute them well. Yeah, I'm very hopeful for that. Man. They'll probably just reference Avengers. Yeah, Attack on Battle New York. Let's go. Woo! Very tragic, chaotic. Yeah. Next bit of news? Yeah, what's the next bit of news? What's going on in the news? So, on Instagram, Jared Leto teased an image of his Joker with the Batman. Whoa. And this gets me wondering if we're going to see like a new announcement of maybe Jared Leto coming back as the Joker for the new Batman movie. And what did you think of his portrayal as the Joker? I haven't watched much of Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. I've seen portions of it, but I haven't watched it like in a lump sum. So I'm a little limited in my perception of Jared Leto, but he is. I get the feeling that he looks menacing and creepy, but the execution of his part isn't completely there. Like it is a bit creepy, but it's not
it's not like Heath Ledger. Like, whoa, man.
Yeah, agreed.
And I know it's bad to compare to other iterations because every actor is different. We're human. We're all different. It won't be exactly the same as it used to be. And obviously Heath Ledger is dead. But I think it's pretty cool that I've heard great things about Jared Leto. I had a friend in high school who she was in love with, and she's like, oh man, I love Jared Leto, and it was super jolly, and I'm not too surprised by him being innocent. There's been talks about Ben Affleck Batman movie for a while. There's been for the standalone Batman film, and it is something that it's like we need, but we don't need because there have been a lot of Batman films in the last 30 years. So it's kind of a no-brainer that Joker would be involved. Batman to Joker is like, I'm bad at analogies, like peanut butter and jelly, or let's see if I can find a more related analogy, like
Superman and Lex Luthor.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Just they're Batman and Joker. They're closely tied to each other.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a no-brainer that Jared Leto would be in it. I doubt they would recast. Jared Leto got praise from critics, for his acting role in Suicide Squad, and I believe he's going to be in Justice League as well. I'll look it up.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. So there's been no talk about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I like Jared Leto's Joker.
Hope he comes back. Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's true, and if it's that tease is that, he is doing stuff in the DC Extended Universe. I haven't watched the DCEU as much lately. Like, I watched Batman v Superman in theaters, and I wasn't as disappointed as other people were.
Yeah, same here.
Like, what I do when I see something for the first time, when I play a new video game or watch a new film, I go into it with low expectations. That way, I can maximize the entertainment from it. I will enjoy myself rather than getting pissed off and be like, oh, it's so bad, blah, blah, blah. Instead of doing that, I just enjoy myself and be like, okay, I realized, okay, I'm just here to be entertained. I'm not here to expect heaven from this or anything. So I that's why I wasn't very disappointed in Batman v Superman. But I don't know, something about Suicide Squad, the tone of it's kind of thrown me off. It doesn't seem like the kind of film I want to watch. I'll remind you, I'm more of a video gamer than I am a film watcher. Like, if it's Star Wars, I'll watch anything Star Wars, obviously. But when it comes to, like, even DC, like, I love Batman. Like, if I'll watch a Batman film. But I'm still a little wary when it comes to film. I am picky. So I'm a bit more picky when it comes to films. So that's why I haven't watched Suicide Squad. I'm probably not going to watch Wonder Woman. But I am intrigued by Justice League. Oh, man, that's going to be so cool. Sorry, I'm kind of bouncing around here. But the point is that I haven't been as emotionally invested in the DC Extended Universe. Although, I remind you, why did I say that? I'm not reminding you. But I do like Man of Steel. So that was what I meant to say, that I like Man of Steel.
Oh. Everyone's got their opinion. I think it was good.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, my mind just got a blank. I bounced off too many subjects there. Sorry
I didn't write this in the show notes, but I just remembered that Krypton, a prequel to Man of Steel, apparently.
Whoa, that's just a rumor.
This is confirmed by, or it's basically confirmed by the director, who is David S. Goyer, or it's one of the David Goyers that work with
David S. Goyer.
Yeah, the one who worked on The Dark Knight.
Yeah, and he also did Man of Steel and Batman v
Superman.
Yep.
Yeah, he's directing it, I believe. I could be wrong about that. The new trailer, the trailer for that released.
Huh.
And
I remember hearing something about that.
I don't know. It seems like that they have a really big budget, especially for a sci-fi show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know. I know that David S. Goyer is supposed to be doing the Darth Vader VR also, which I mentioned last week.
Oh, yeah, okay, I remember now. Yeah. You mentioned that it would be a Darth Vader VR game.
Yeah, or I don't know if it's a VR game or so much as a movie-ish thing. Okay.
Well, it counts as both, really.
Yeah. We'll get into our main topic for tonight.
I mean, unless there's any other desperate news, like from the Star Wars universe going on.
Quinlan Vos was rumored to be in Han Solo, but that was fake, and
that was fake. Oh man,
that it was some alien.
Every EU fan's fantasy.
I love Quinlan Vos, man. Quinlan Vos is one of my favorite characters.
He is actually in canon. He's in
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones, right?
I don't know. No, he's in Phantom Menace, mentioned in Revenge of the Sith, and he was in the Clone Wars.
Oh yeah, he was in the Clone
Yeah.
Wars. It's been a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then Dark Disciple, he was one of the main characters. The other one being Asajj Ventress.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was that was kind of a letdown. I was like, oh, maybe. And then I found out about that. I was like, okay then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it for the news basically, except we have some news that goes into the main topic, so I guess we should introduce the main topic real quick.
Ooh.
All right. You want to do that?
Oh man.
Yep.
So one of the main movies coming out is a super movie that everyone here at the Backyard Watch podcast is super hyped about.
Captain Underpants, the movie.
You only wish, buddy. I Thunder inside some pants. Like, what in the heck are Rooney's?
No, Underpants. You never heard of Captain Underpants?
I thought you said. Okay.
Thunderpants. That'd be something.
I heard
Oh.
Thunderpants, and sorry about that. Man, this year is jam packed with so many great movies. We can't even keep track. Now, that's not the point of this main topic. The main point is to talk about one of these main movies. It is the sequel to the smash hit from 2014. And no, I am not referring to the Lego Movie, although that was a smash hit. I'm referring to Guardians of the Galaxy, brought back from the death of 1970s comic books, brought back in movie form, and now all of a sudden everybody loves it. Oh man, it's so prevalent in entertainment media today, and like there's so much cool stuff coming from this series. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 coming out in, I believe, May 5th. Don't quote me on that. I might have the wrong date, but I know it's in May, early May. For sure. Do some research, Eric.
I believe it is May 5th because that's the first Friday in May.
Hype it up. Oh, yeah, it's a Friday. It's definitely May 5th. All right.
Yep.
Guardians of the Galaxy. So that is the topic for today. A bunch of great stuff going on with this series. Let's just delve right into it.
All right.
What is your opinion about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Eric? What is your perception?
Well, I
from the
hated Guardians of the Galaxy 1. No, I'm kidding.
You're about to make me go into another rant.
Guardians of the Galaxy was one of those movies that really surprised me. I knew of the entire group prior to watching it, and I was a little skeptical because I'm like, these don't look like the comic book people. Looks like a bunch of Star Wars to me. And I was it was good how they did it. I think that Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the strongest Marvel movies, especially because of how different it is. Like, it's more comedic. It's even more colorful than all the other movies. And what all the other movies don't have, a really good soundtrack. I love the soundtrack. Awesome Mix Volume 1, amazing.
And wasn't Channel 1138 just playing the Awesome Mix earlier?
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
And when I was working on Photoshops this week for Backyard Watch, and
nice.
That's what I was listening to the entire time.
Oh man, that is so cool.
Yeah.
I am just impressed that the formula is just so successful. Like, it's a Marvel film of people that the mainstream public does not know about.
Yeah.
So I am impressed that Volume 1, the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, that it resonated well with viewers and casual fans, along with the hardcore fans, of course. And I think it's really awesome, that the movie was so successful, and it gave me some good jolly vibes of
Our favorite word.
like, especially the music. Super jolly, man. Super jolly music, man. It was a feel good film. A lot of action, a lot of suspense, a lot of silly, goofy characters that will make you smile and laugh. And I am Groot. And just, yeah, it's super awesome. And yes, it's just a great movie. And so let's talk about Volume 2.
Yeah.
I know we were just talking about Volume 1. A lot of great things from it. Volume 2 is coming out, obviously, in just over a month. And there's been some TV commercials and some trailers and promos for it. So, Eric, what is your perception of the hype, the marketing hype for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2?
Our two favorite words were said in that entire little statement: hype and jolly.
Yep.
Which is what Volume 2 makes me feel. I cannot wait for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And I think that it will be a better sequel than Age of Ultron. Because Age of Ultron was...
Wow.
Okay, I don't like Age of Ultron all that much. I think it's one of the lesser...
What?
I think it's one of the lesser
What?
Marvel movies.
Are you kidding? That was a
No.
feel-good movie, man.
I don't...
Age of Ultron was awesome.
The problem is, I really like Ultron as a character, and I don't feel like I don't feel that he was
Yes, I
given
understand.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with that, I also like Ego the Living Planet. So I'm just hoping that they actually give him his planet form. Which, from the trailers, we haven't gotten yet. I don't know. I haven't been watching all the trailers. I think I watched the first two, and then I was like, all right, I'm done. Yeah. I've been doing that lately, like the Spider-Man trailer. I think the newest one, the international trailer, I haven't watched. The Pirates of the Caribbean trailer, I've only watched the first two. I don't know. Trailers have been spoiling a lot lately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
I like the TV trailer. It's super. It's action packed and jolly. It's awesome. They show you all the characters and just so much action.
All the baby
and
Groots.
things. Man. But yeah, it's super jolly too. I'm excited. Like, I'm not as excited as I am for The Last Jedi. Oh man, but yeah, definitely. And one of the things about Guardians of the Galaxy that I'm impressed by is that it's expanded throughout the media.
Yeah.
Do they have a comic book publication? Is there a comic book cover?
To like tie into the movie or just in general?
Well,
They
both,
have
like in the past few years.
they've always had comic books. Well, this iteration of the Guardians, which is Groot, Star-Lord, Drax, Gamora, and Rocket Raccoon, started in 2008. And before that, it was Yondu, and all the other names are blanking on me right now. But
Yeah.
I'm just yeah. They do. I think they have new Guardians of the Galaxy comics. I'm not sure. I don't really keep up with Marvel as much anymore, or DC really. I've just been keeping
Wow,
up with.
Eric.
I've just been keeping up with the Star Wars comics.
Disrespect.
Yeah, Star Wars comics have been my pride and joy right now.
Star Wars comics, interesting.
Yeah, that and video games mainly. So
Video games.
yeah, and speaking
of video games,
see, there we go. Segment
Wow, you're
or
10 out of 10 at
segues.
this.
Yeah.
Speaking of video games, there are two, count them, two Guardians of the Galaxy video games coming out. The first one has actually been released. I believe it released last Friday. I know it was sometime last weekend or last week or whatever.
Yeah.
It's Guardians of the Galaxy, the Telltale series. So Eric, let's give some context. What does it mean by the Telltale series? There's some people here that don't play video games, that they never heard of Telltale games. They don't know what their games are like.
Telltale games.
What's a Telltale series?
Yeah. They well, you know, of course, but they.
Well, the audience doesn't.
Yeah, well, maybe you should tell them, Jeff. Haha,
I
got
asked
him.
you, buddy.
No, the Telltale games are basically choose your own adventure, and then you get to play that adventure, and then you play through a mission, which is basically an entire episode. And yeah, they've been really good at this formula. They've had The Walking Dead, The Wolf Among Us, Batman, and Minecraft, and now this. I think. Don't quote me on that. I think I could be missing like one or two. I don't
You
know.
got most of them at least.
Yeah, but Telltale is really good at storytelling. Like that's their pride and joy, basically. Storytelling, and they really show through all of the series that they have. Like I just finished playing Batman a couple months ago.
Man.
Yeah, and that was really good. It was a new take on Batman that wasn't the Arkham series, and it was pretty good.
Yeah.
And
Would you suggest me to pick it up?
yes, I do. Yeah,
Okay.
it's good. It's got that Arkham feel though too, like darker than, let's say, the 60s Batman.
Yeah, I'll go pick it up today.
Go drive there. And now I did play Guardians of the Galaxy, the Telltale series over the weekend.
You did? Wow.
Yeah,
Look at you.
I guess I should probably wait to tell about that during Hype Watch.
It's the
or-
hype factor.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Coming up at the end of
Yeah.
the show on
Hype
the Backyard Watch
factor.
podcast.
Tell your friends and loved ones.
Man,
Yeah.
well, I mean, give yourself some impressions that aren't as hyped as it would be on the hype factor. Like what is this game about? Like, what's going on?
Oh, it's I don't really want to get into spoilers, but
Well, okay, I have not played it. I'll
it's the first
say this.
episode. There's not really anything really to spoil. I guess I'll just say it in the beginning.
I'll tease it like this: Thanos is in it.
Yes.
That's all I gotta say, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's in an
Thanos.
episodic format. So episode 1 was just released last week, and there will be, I believe, 3 or 4 more episodes to come in the future. That will be
4.
released, right? Is that right?
4. And I believe,
It's
from what I could tell from looking through it, you can play as the different Guardians every episode. Like, episode 1, you start with Star-Lord. I think... episode 1, you start with Star-Lord. I think episode 2 is Gamora. 3 is Rocket. 4 is Drax. And then 5 is Groot. So, I'm really hoping that they have that dynamic that you can play as the different Guardians in different episodes. Because during a certain fight scene, you do control all of the Guardians at some point or another. With the QuickTime events. So,
nice.
I cannot wait to play as Groot and choose what to say. Like, that's the only thing that's going to make me want to play this game even more. Like, it's really good, though, in all honesty. And I just hope that that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
Yep. Now the second game, which I'm not really familiar with. So, Jeff, why don't you tell us about this one?
Well, there's actually there's not a lot of information about this, but so back in February 2017, yes, 2017, there was a new trailer coming from Square Enix. They are a worldwide video game publisher. They're well known for critically acclaimed series such as Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts,
Life is
Deus Ex.
Strange. Have you heard about that game?
That is true. Life is Strange.
Yeah, that's a pretty good game too.
That was a recent one.
I forgot that Square Enix
Tomb
did
Raider and whatnot. And the main announcement saying that they have a new deal to make video games, to make Marvel video games. They have a deal with Marvel Entertainment to make some Marvel video games.
Now, this I didn't really know about. I just hope that they're good. That's all. Again, that's all that one could hope, is that it's good.
There was a teaser trailer released. Just look up like Square Enix Marvel, and you'll probably find it on YouTube.
You know what? Was this that Avengers trailer that they had?
Yes.
Okay, then I did see that.
And that trailer basically confirmed that Square Enix and their studios would make Marvel games, and that 2 development studios are developing an Avengers game. The first one is Crystal Dynamics, best known for making the Tomb Raider video game series featuring Lara Croft. Great video game series. I was playing Rise of the Tomb Raider yesterday, actually. It's an amazing game.
I forgot that was on PlayStation now.
It was released last November. But so yeah, Crystal Dynamics is the main developer, but co-developed by Eidos Montreal. They were made about 10 years ago. They were created. The studio was created 10 years ago to relaunch the Deus Ex series. Deus Ex was a video game created by famed video game developer Warren Spector in 2000 as a computer game, and it was very successful. They relaunched the series in 2011 with Deus Ex Human Revolution and the sequel of Mankind Divided last year. So in addition to the Avengers game, this was not, they released a teaser trailer that showed like some cool stuff. They showed Captain America's shield, Thor's hammer with lightning attacking it. That was pretty cool. And there were a couple other things that kind of hinted at it. It looked like the Doomsday scene from Avengers: Age of Ultron, where Tony Stark had a vision of. Should I spoil it? Okay, it's been 2 years. Yep. I can spoil it. Tony Stark had a vision of all the Avengers dying, and it showed like the Captain America's shield and Thor's hammer and Iron Man's suit, his attack weapon. I forgot what it was called. I'm sorry, but so that was like a little teaser. They didn't really show much, but in addition to that, it was reported by Eurogamer, either on the same day or the day after, that Eidos Montreal, the studio that made Deus Ex, that they are developing a Guardians of the Galaxy video game. Now, let me clarify here. These, the Avengers Guardians of the Galaxy, the plan, it seems like these games are going to be released on video game consoles. So like PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and maybe PC. Maybe the Nintendo Switch. I don't know. Who knows?
Let's hope not.
But mainstream console, Simon, pretty much.
Yeah.
But hey, Nintendo Switch has sold really well, believe it or not. But anyways, so I am curious. In my opinion, the only good Marvel console games in the last 15 years are the X-Men Legends and Marvel Ultimate Alliance series from the mid-2000s.
Yes.
The Lego Marvel series, which includes Lego Marvel Superheroes and Lego Marvel's The Avengers.
Yep.
From the last few years. And Marvel vs. Capcom. They had Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and they're about to have Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite at the end of the year.
I can't wait for that.
So, there hasn't been many successful console games, which has been disappointing.
Spider-Man 2 from, I think, 2002?
I guess that fits in the 2004. I guess that fits.
Oh, 2004?
15 years. Was that when the movie was released, or was that 2002?
I think 2004 was Spider-Man 3. I could be wrong.
No, Spider-Man 3 was 2007.
Then that one's 2002 or 2004. Okay.
Okay. So, recently there hasn't been many good Marvel games outside of the great Lego series, of course.
Yeah.
So, I'm just intrigued to see Guardians of the Galaxy in a video game. Like, how are they going to do that? Is it going to be like a team mechanic like X-Men Legends and Marvel Ultimate Alliance? Or like a recent example would be Marvel Heroes Omega for the computer? Or is it going to be like a single-player storyline where you control one character, sort of like the Telltale series? I'm intrigued, but Eric, what do you think of this? What do you think of the fact that there will be a Guardians of the Galaxy console video game made by the same developer as Deus Ex?
I haven't played Deus Ex at all.
You gotta play it.
You gotta play it. What's the basic mechanic of that? That's
first person RPG where it's a decision based, like you make decisions.
Okay. So
but you can also pick up, like, there's so much stuff to pick up. It's mainly based in like linear or like interior type environments. Like it's not an open world. It's more so like a like Uncharted 4. It's the best comparison I can make.
I thought that Uncharted 4 was an open world. My mistake.
It was. There were a couple implied open world, but it wasn't total open world.
Okay.
Most of the game was linear.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of do hope that it's open world, in all honesty. I do like open world games, and I feel like that they just work more for me, at least, because there's so much to do. Most of the time, if it's open world, you can customize your characters.
Lots of RPGs do that.
Yeah.
I know
yeah. I'm just hoping that perhaps we do get like a more sci-fi feel, and we do get to play as not just maybe Star-Lord or Gamora or Drax.
Yeah.
I hope that we get to play as Groot and Rocket, because of Rocket's small stature than Groot's tall stature. The same goes with the Avengers game. I really hope that we get to play not just as Iron Man or Cap, but Thor, Black Widow, Hulk,
man,
Hawkeye even.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that we'll be getting more info about this maybe in E3, or at E3.
Yeah, I mean that would just be that. I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna get anything at E3. I only say that because. Sorry, I'm talking with a potential Backyard Watch podcast guest. So I'm kind of texting right now, but well, anyway, I don't think that we're going to get any info at this E3 because I think these two games are years away from release.
Okay.
That they're gonna hold off now. They're probably like still in the planning phase, or they just started development on the game.
Okay.
On the games, because you gotta think about it. You know, Eidos Montreal just wrapped up Deus Ex: Mankind Divided.
Yeah.
There's that was released August of last year. They released the last DLC downloadable content expansion for it in February, which coincidental timing, am I right?
Yes.
Or maybe it was last month. I don't know. Anyways, so they recently finished off Deus Ex, so they're probably just starting. Like, we'll get the Avengers game before the Guardians of the Galaxy, in my opinion, but we'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah.
But Crystal Dynamics, they also, just finished Rise of the Tomb Raider. I don't know if that studio can handle more than one game at a time, but what was I gonna say? But no, there's a chance they could have started development on it already. But you gotta remember, like, assuming they just finished working on Rise of the Tomb Raider. Oh, well, yeah, they finished releasing the expansions, downloadable content.
Yeah.
Last year. So I have a feeling like they're still in the concept phase. They haven't. So basically, the point I'm trying to say is we are very far from release. I'd say a couple years, 3 years is my assumption. So I think it's too early to start hyping up people at E3.
Yeah.
Just because like at any rate, there'll just be too much hype if they just start doing it years in advance. So sorry. Anyways, so I referring to your question, sorry, my mind's going through 5 different things right now. I'm sorry. That's why I'm kind of hesitating right now. But your main point was, will there be stuff at E3? I don't think so.
Maybe concept art,
Maybe. No, there's always a chance of that.
Yeah.
They could have a panel, or they could have like some interviews with developers.
Yeah.
Or representatives of Square Enix. But I don't know. I just find it weird that they released the trailer for the Avengers and the rumor about Guardians of the Galaxy in February.
Yeah, it's weird.
I feel like it would have been better just to shadow drop it, or no, that's not. Or to reveal it at E3.
Yeah, it
get people hyped, man.
Unless they are planning on something for E3, and I don't know how long this Avengers game has been in development. Do you know?
I have no idea.
Okay.
It seems like it was recently developed. Just because the 2 studios, they recently finished up games.
Yeah, I get that part. It's just, yeah, it just the fact that it's in February that they had that, it just seems off, very much off, compared to most games.
It was January 26th.
Okay,
that they announced this year.
That's even more when are we gonna get this? When are we gonna get more information about this?
It's gonna be a long time, buddy.
I'm just wondering why they would think of that. But now that I think about it, I think it was a conference or something, right? That they announced it at?
No, they just released a trailer on YouTube.
Did they? Oh, that seems even more weird.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It got a lot of media attention.
Yeah. That's why I just figured that maybe there was oh no. Maybe.
Sorry, I'm looking up to see how many views. Yeah, the trailer got quite a few views, over 8 million views. So it was posted by the Marvel YouTube page. It was because basically that trailer was just to announce that there's a partnership, and we're making an Avengers game. The Guardians of the Galaxy game was rumored.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's true. It was a report. It makes complete sense for it to happen. But yeah, the description says that Marvel and Square Enix announced a multi-year, multi-game partnership, leading with the reveal of the Avengers, and that's, let's see, Crystal Dynamics doing the Avengers in collaboration with Eidos Montreal. The description of this game is very vague. It says it's being designed for gamers worldwide and will be packed with all the characters, environments, and iconic moments that have thrilled longtime fans of the franchise. Okay. Featuring a completely original story, it will introduce a universe gamers can play in for years to come. More details on the Avengers project and other games will be announced in 2018.
Oh no.
that was why I figured it wouldn't be at E3. I forgot about that.
Huh.
Oh man. So we're obviously not going to get anything at E3. We're going to be waiting a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe
I think
next
this is
E3.
just like, they're in meetings about it. Because they just got the partnership, Marvel and Square Enix. They just shook hands. They're like, okay, we're gonna make games, and it's a little weird way to announce it, in my opinion. But I'm just happy that it's a thing. Like, holy crap, you know. What do you think,
definitely.
Eric?
I just don't understand why they would announce it this early. Like, that's something that maybe they would announce this E3 and then show it next E3, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And okay, I have the article up about the Guardians of the Galaxy video.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's a report by media. They didn't make any splashy announcement about it. So it confirms that Eidos Montreal has, well, it doesn't confirm it, but sources say that they canceled a planned sequel to Deus Ex: Mankind Divided, which really makes me sad.
Mm-hmm.
I just finished the game, and yeah, it needs a sequel bad.
Yeah.
There are so many loose ends in its story that need to be filled up. So it just sucks.
Well, that's with a lot of games.
Long time. You gotta remember, in between the last Deus Ex game before Eidos,
Mm-hmm.
which is Invisible War, in between that and Human Revolution, there were 8 years. It was 8 years of waiting. So 2003 Invisible War was released in 2011 Human Revolution. So it just sucks that we're gonna have to wait that long again. But anyways, to keep going, so it says Eidos Montreal working on 2 major games. One of those games is Shadow of the Tomb Raider, sequel to Rise of the Tomb Raider, as has been rumored for a while. The other is a game based off of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, second entry in Square Enix partnership with Marvel. Obviously, Eidos is helping out in the Avengers, and I believe it says something that it's very early in development.
Mm-hmm.
So it sucks that there's not much information and that we have to wait a while for it. But I'm just hyped that there will be games. The fact that the best Avengers game is either Marvel Ultimate Alliance or Lego Marvel's Avengers kind of says something.
And Marvel vs. Capcom doesn't even count because it's not an Avengers game, really.
Yeah.
And Ultimate Alliance isn't even really the Avengers, it's Ultimate Alliance, isn't it? If I remember correctly. Like, they're not specifically called,
No, it's the game
Avengers.
title was Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah, but I forget what were the Avengers called the Avengers or Ultimate Alliance?
For what? For the video game?
Yeah, for the video game.
The title was Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah.
There was a game released a couple years ago on Facebook called Marvel Avengers Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
No relation.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that was like a casual game,
Probably.
So what do you think of this, Eric?
I don't know. I'm just wondering how are they going to do some of these things? Like, I just want to know game mechanics and all. Because I don't want to be stuck with just one character. So say that they give us Iron Man and Avengers and then give us Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
That's not bad, but it's just there's more than just them two.
Well, they just started a partnership.
Yeah,
You gotta
I
give
know.
them time to make the games.
I know that. I'm just
These
saying.
things take time.
I'm just saying that I want to know.
They just don't want to spill all the beans.
Yeah.
Yet. They've got a whole.
I would
just gotta-
imagine it's Square
Yeah.
Enix. They're smarter than that. They know that people want to play more than just one character the entire game. Like, I don't know if you played Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Give me some context, buddy.
That one is just you have two characters to control. You have a brother and a sister to control.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I hope it's something like that because like you can switch at any time. Like you can do missions with this character, but you could also go back and do it with this character instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just hope it's sort of like that dynamic.
Okay, so we have plenty more to talk about on our Guardians of the Galaxy topic, and we may potentially have a guest, but I considering so to give some context that I think we should take a little break right now because I have to leave in an hour and a half, and I know we're gonna keep going along till then.
Yeah.
Especially if we have a guest, and I need to whip up some food, and I don't want Eric, my man Eric here, to be alone here. So we're gonna take a little break.
Okay.
Is that okay, Eric?
Yeah, that's
What do you
perfectly fine. We're gonna take a break.
Play some jolly music or something.
Yeah, I'll play stuff from my playlist. It's a pretty good playlist. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So we thank you all for listening right now on channel 1138. It's Monday, man. This day used to be a big day on the channel, and it hasn't been for the past year and a half. So I'm glad that Eric and I are back here with the Backyard Watch podcast. Please do not go anywhere. Unless you absolutely have to. Life happens. We will be right back on channel 1138.
I'll wait a couple seconds. So when I'm editing this for YouTube.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
We'll edit it in the archive. Of
yeah.
course.
I'll plug in some things real quick. You can follow me on at AskewWall on Instagram and at Assassin at Large on
Put that in
on
the chat,
Twitter.
buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll do that in a minute. All right. You'll be back. I'll be back. You guys can listen to this music on channel 1138, but if you're on YouTube, I'm just gonna cut this all out anyway. Yep. All right. I'll talk to you in a couple minutes then, Jeff. All right. We're back for Backyard Watch. We're your hosts, Eric and Jeff, and Jeff.
He's Eric.
Yep. Jeff, you take it away for this one now.
Oh man. Hello, I'm Jeffrey. I'm Jeffrey White, and I'm back here on the Backyard Watch podcast. Oh, by the way, Eric, I know I'm saying this out loud. You should change the title on Mixlr.
I probably should.
But we're back here, part 2, the Backyard Watch podcast, and I apologize for getting that break. I had to get some food. I was getting hungry. Just gotta have some sustenance, I mean. And in addition to that, obviously we all have to take our restroom breaks and go over our plans for the future for the part 2. And here on part 2, we have the extraordinary pleasure of having a super jolly guest. A super jolly guest has joined us. He is, everyone who listens to Channel 1138 should know this person. He is the station manager of Channel 1138. I believe that is still an official title that he has. And he does many other things. Obviously, he's part of the Star Wars Underworld. He co-hosts their podcast. He guest stars on the Intergalactic Peace Coalition podcast from time to time. And he's been around the station ever since it began back in 2013. So Eric and I are very proud to have a guest here. Please welcome Chris Sequel, everybody.
Hey guys, I thought you were introducing Santa Claus for a minute when you started talking about a super jolly guest. I'm like, I'm excited I get to meet Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Well, with the Backyard Watch podcast, our two main words here are jolly and hype, and we really bring that home.
Jolly hype.
Yep, jolly.
Okay,
yep,
got
jolly
it.
hype.
So we have sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I was laughing.
Oh, okay. So sometimes I hear something and I'm like, oh, they're about to say something. No, they're not.
Nope.
But yeah, we are lucky here at the Backyard Watch podcast. This man here, Chris, he founded the original Backyard Watch from all the way back to, I believe it was May 18th, 2014, here on the channel, where all of a sudden, after an IPC podcast on a Saturday night, all of a sudden you have Chris Sequel commenting in chat, "Hey, I hear these crickets nearby. Should I broadcast it?" And we're like, "Yeah, do it, Chris. That sounds awesome." So all of a sudden you have Chris Sequel broadcasting in his backyard, and basically just listening to the crickets nearby. And Chris was just having a blast, talking to all of us in chat. We were all super hyped, and it was a jolly night. It started I would say it's a revolution amongst some of the hosts of Channel 1138 here. So, and in addition to him being station manager and SW host, so Chris Sequel is the foundation of Backyard Watch. I mean, many of you listeners know that Eric, my co-host here, was not a part of that intro or of the initial what happened in May of 2014 for Backyard Watch, but I was involved. I was in the chat. So it is surreal right now to have Chris Sequel on the Backyard Watch podcast, episode 2. Good to see you. Good to hear you, Chris.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard.
It's almost been exactly 3 years. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I was about to say, it's really hard to imagine that it's been, so that it's been so long, but also it seems like it's been longer than that too, at the same time, because it seems like it's hard to imagine a time before we knew each other. So it's kind of weird to think that was only 3 years ago when we all started, doing this thing, and it's interesting seeing how it kind of evolved over time, because initially it was like a live show and everybody would get on and talk just on the channel and stuff. And then I remember it got to the point where everybody started saying super personal things, and everyone was like, maybe this shouldn't be live anymore. And just so anybody could listen. So then it ended up being kind of like a private hangout group that people did Google Hangouts a few times a week. And then after that, it kind of just turned into a message thread on Facebook, and that's kind of what it's been since, until it has apparently spawned its own podcast.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah, some idiot decided to do that.
Two idiots, you could say.
Two idiots.
One idiot forced another to do it.
Who's more foolish, the fool or the fool that follows him? There you go.
I think I know I reflected upon this in episode 1, but a little bit. But it's crazy that we're doing a podcast now. I haven't, outside of the Facebook chat, I haven't done much with Hangouts or podcasts in the past couple years. Maybe every once in a while, like back in 2015, I would do stuff, and I was still part of. I had #FluffWatch. That was a great show. But I just think it's awesome that we're here, Eric and I, hosting this with our guest, the founder of Backyard Watch. So thanks for coming on, Chris.
Yeah.
So, you have anything more to say about the origins of Backyard Watch? Anyone?
Well, I think that one thing that's interesting is of all the people that are kind of considered backyardigans or whatever, I think I'm the only one who's met everybody.
Yeah, you are.
Weird.
You're like the Phil Coulson of Backyard Watch.
Oh man, Phil Coulson.
Yeah.
Telling you, everyone, Eric really does love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Phil Coulson. He loves it.
I love Phil Coulson. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I still watch every episode. It's a little iffy at times.
Yeah, I remember we had a Backyard Watch hangout. If I get my dates right, it was, I believe, April or March of 2015.
Oh, no.
And, Chris Sequel came over to my house, and we just did a little Backyard Watch. It was interesting having Chris in the same room as me.
That was 2015. Oh, no. That was so long ago.
It was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That was when Batman Arkham Knight released, Eric.
Oh, no.
Isn't it weird?
Well, I was in a hangout with you guys. Sorry.
Yeah, isn't it weird, Eric, to think that it'll now, in a few months, be a year since we saw each other for the first time?
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, I got a little taller from then.
So did I, Chris.
Oh.
How is that possible?
I have no idea.
Stretched himself.
Oh my gosh.
It's really
I
weird.
feel like I'm joking.
I've never met Jake, but we both live in the same state.
Yeah, that is shocking to me.
Yeah.
It's shocking because and our friend Thomas Bradshaw from the channel also lives right in that area too. So I'm surprised that you three don't like hang out more often. Because Thomas met Jake because I met them at the kind of sort of the same time.
Yeah, true.
So they met each other because of me. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have met each other. But yeah, you weren't around. Well, I mean, you were around then. You just couldn't get over to where we were.
Yeah, I think I was 15 at the time, correct? I think that was 2.
Yeah, because it was 2015. Yeah. It was 2 years ago.
Oh God.
Yeah, and we should also note that we have another original Backyard Watch listener. George D. Rivera is currently in the Channel 1138 chat, and he's been an integral part of the chat for many years in Channel 1138. Although I believe it's been a while for him. You said so earlier, but it's awesome to have another original member of Backyard Watch listening in to the Backyard Watch podcast.
That's another person that I've met actually multiple times, which is awesome.
Warms my heart to see the origins of this play out podcast.
There's one person who's like super OG that I've never met, and Jeff, I think you're the only one who's met this person, and that's Ashley.
Oh
of
yeah.
Of course, you're kind of responsible for Ashley being a part of it, so that makes sense.
Not anymore. She goes to a. It's complicated now, but not.
Yeah,
really.
I know, but
I haven't talked to her in years.
But you've met Ashley, so you're the only one confirming that she actually exists. I've never met Ashley before.
But she does exist. I have seen her in person. To give the audience some clarification, Ashley was she was part of the group chats that we had in Backyard Watch a couple years ago, and she came on quite a few of them. I somehow managed to convince her to join this thing for some reason. I don't know, but yeah, she was an integral part of Backyard Watch. She's not part of the group chat anymore. She's not as close with us anymore. I haven't talked to her in a while, but yeah, she does have her place in Backyard Watch history.
Yep,
definitely.
So yeah. So anyways, yeah, that was a long intro segment. That's hype, man. Let's go into the main topic that Eric and I were talking about in part 1 of this episode, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, great comic book series. The original series from the 1970s. It became popularized by a couple little known films that one of them released 3 years ago. Not many people know about it, and one's about to release in a month, and there's maybe a little hype, but I'm kidding. They're extremely popular. But Chris, what is your history with the Guardians of the Galaxy?
Was that directed at me?
Yeah. Yes, Chris.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, I don't read the DC or Marvel comics. So I didn't know what it was until that first movie came out a few years ago. But I really, really enjoyed the movie. It's actually one of my favorite Marvel movies. So it actually might be my favorite Marvel movie.
Wow.
So yeah, so I'm really excited for the next one, which I believe is coming out in
next Friday.
It's like next. Yeah, it's
next
coming out
Friday.
really
Did you just say next Friday, Eric?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my God, dude! Come on, man!
Yeah.
Why do you do this?
You're
You're getting my hopes up, man.
No, it is. May 5th is next Friday.
Yeah.
Oh shh! I'm getting my months mixed up.
Yeah.
Y'all.
Oh,
I'm
no.
sorry.
No, it comes out on Star Wars. It comes out on Star Wars Day of all days.
I'm still in celebration mode right now. I just.
It's easy to remember because it's Star Wars Day. Like May 4th is when the screening day is. So. But yeah, no, I'm super excited for that. I know a few people have seen it already, and they said it was really good. So I trust them with that. The hard thing to screw up. It's such a kind of simple formula, just kind of blending humor, with action, with 80s music. Like it's not, it's tough to screw something like that up.
Mm-hmm. So Chris, why is Guardians of the Galaxy your favorite Marvel movie? I'm curious why you love it so much.
Because it's so different. Like it breaks the mold of what a superhero movie is. It's more of kind of like an action comedy movie, and also just with like the emphasis on the soundtrack. That's different because I mean there's some decent soundtracks to the Marvel movies, but they don't focus on their soundtracks as much as say like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter does. So I think it's really cool that there are Marvel movies that do focus more on the soundtrack, and that's just as big a part of the movie as like say the characters or the story. So I think it's just a really unique film. I think it's a film that kind of changed films. Like I think that if it weren't for that, we probably wouldn't have gotten Deadpool. I think there are a lot of other movies that are
It's like
coming
Suicide Squad. They tried to base it off of.
Yeah.
They tried to piggyback off of it. Yeah.
And they did that with the last Star Trek movie too. I feel like was especially in the marketing, they marketed it similarly to Guardians. So like I think it's definitely like I think that every like maybe 5 or 10 years a movie comes out that kind of like defines like a generation of movies, and I think that this is kind of that's a definitive movie, you know, defining this kind of generation of movies. It kind of set the tone for what would come after.
Yeah.
Setting the tone, yeah.
Now, Chris,
Yeah.
we talked about this earlier. What is your feelings on Age of Ultron?
I mean, I'm kind of like done with the whole like Avengers storyline. Like, I feel like the first movie was really great. I liked some of the spin-off films or origin films and a few of their sequels, but I feel like they're really milking that. Like there's just so many films, and we've got Infinity War coming out, and then and Infinity War 2 or whatever they're gonna call it. I think right now it's being called Avengers 4, which is weird. So
I don't know. Zoe, I forget how to pronounce her last name. Saldana, something like that.
Yeah.
She said that it's going to be called Gauntlet, which it's probably just a working title in all honesty.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, again, I'm not the biggest like superhero movie fan. So like I probably get around to watching almost all of them, but they're movies I usually only see once. And so like, you know, I'm not like super into it, so it does kind of, for me, it gets old after a while, kind of just like the Transformers movies get old after a while. You've seen a few and then you kind of feel like you've seen all of them. So I will definitely watch Infinity War, but you know, it's not something I'm like super looking forward to. It's not something I'm anticipating seeing more than once. Whereas, you know, I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy probably 3 or 4 times, and I'll probably see the next one 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Probably once at theaters, and then maybe a few times after it comes out.
That's very interesting, and I think there's a decent way to transition over to a news thing that we got. There was some news about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 that was not said in Part 1. Eric, would you like to state it?
You talking about Nathan Fillion was cut from the movie.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What?
Is that what we were talking about?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah. All right. I could tell by the subtle hints. Yeah, I'm a little bit mad about this. I'm a little bit mad about this because he was supposed to be playing Wonder Man, who I can't remember his actual name, but he was a actor in it. He was an actor in the comic book universe, and then he became a superhero. I know he's been
in some Halo video games and Destiny and whatnot.
Yeah, Nathan Fillion. Yeah, but Wonder Man. I really like Wonder Man, and I really wish that he was in it. Yeah, that's basically it. It was a cameo.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's that impactful, like, just because it's a cameo.
But I also like Nathan Fillion. He's my favorite character in Destiny.
I mean, I have a feeling it's just going to be a deleted scene.
It
They'll
most
put it on the
likely will.
Blu-ray.
Yeah,
no,
no,
deleted scene.
it's James Gunn. He'll put it on the Blu-ray. He's smart enough to do that.
Because I believe James Gunn, I think he was a director or one of them.
Yes.
One of the top people of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. He says that that the character will return in future installments of the franchise.
Oh, so that means
they're kind of holding in their marbles, waiting, giving some time to flesh out.
They might be planning something with Wonder Man then.
So they're like, okay, we'll just cut this, and we have a better way to do this in the future.
In fact, they might bring him in for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which has also been announced.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know about that?
I honestly don't know about that.
Yeah, James Gunn was announced to be the director again. I think this was like earlier last week.
Wow.
I forgot to write it in the show notes.
Oh, okay. I think I just found it here. Okay, there are. Okay, yeah. He announced he would return to write and direct Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Holy cow! Oh my God! Give me the hype.
I think the question is, how many sequels do they have to do before they start getting into 90s music?
Probably Volume 3. Because Star-Lord will already be back on Earth.
There's a lot of 80s music.
There is a lot of 80s music, but he'll already be on Earth by that time. During Infinity War. Yeah, so.
That is super jolly. What do you think of this? Do you have any opinion on this news, Chris?
I mean, I expected it. Like, you can't take $1 billion franchise and just stop making movies.
Yeah.
And about, you have any? Oh, yeah, I mean, that does make sense. And anything about Nathan Fillion?
Well, I mean, I didn't know that he had a cameo because I haven't been following it like super closely. I'm just excited for the movie, and but I mean, he's cool. Like, obviously, like I liked his role in Firefly, so and I've like, I don't know if I've actually talked to him before, but I've been in the same room with him a lot. And once he like walked into the same restaurant I was in, and that was kind of fun.
I remember the story that you have in Nathan Fillion, and that's probably the best story I've ever heard.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to specify on the Backyard Watch podcast? It's
of course,
okay if you.
No, I could say the whole thing. No one told me not to. I didn't sign
maybe we could get
anything.
Nathan Fillion one of these days.
I was
That'd be something.
no, I was out at a bar in Studio City, bar/restaurant, hanging out with some people, and while I was kind of sitting, somebody who's sitting across from me was like, "Whoa!" Like, I think that was Nathan Fillion who just walked into the bar, and like I turned around and yeah, it was him, and he was with like some other actors, and one of the actors, his name was James Marsters, I think, and then I just kind of proceeded to mind my own business, and they had like sat down like at the actual bar. We were kind of at like a table, and then there started being like all these people were crowding around at the bar, and there was lots of like cheering and shouting, and then someone from our table who had gone like to the restroom or something came back and was like, so like Nathan Fillion and James Marsters were totally just like making out with each other at the bar.
That's something.
Oh yeah, interesting.
So yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
But I figure like if I don't like go to like restaurants and like bars in that area like a lot because it's in general not something I do very often. And then when I do, it's like this LA and California is so big that I'm always going to different places. So it just so happened that one time I had met up with people in this area where there was a lot of actors hanging out because it was near all the studios where they shoot stuff. So, but I have a feeling like that stuff like that happens like all the time because it's like, you kind of, you think of actors from kind of the perspective that you see them from TV and think about how, they're always going to all these like parties and award shows, or they're at the studios filming something, or they're out on some exotic location or set or something. And you don't really think like, that's just when they're working. That's not actually most of their lives. Most of their lives, they're just like normal people, and they go grocery shopping, and they go to bars and hang out, and they're just like what normal people do. And so if you look at areas where a lot of actors live, like Hollywood or Studio City or whatever, like, that's they just like everybody else. And you go to a certain like restaurant or bar, there's just going to be a certain percentage of people there that are actors or producers or writers or something else in the entertainment industry, because it makes sense for them to go there because it's near where they live and work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean,
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
that's why you see so many people over there.
Yeah. So yeah, that was fun. So I'm sure, like, as I continue to, like, because I don't live very far from there. I live like several miles from that area. So it's it's a very convenient place to go and meet up with people. So I think as I continue to do that more, I'll get more and more kind of random experiences with people who are recognizable on the screen.
Let's hope.
Sorry, Eric.
For
Because you live far away from everything.
Yes, that. Well then, I guess I will just take my my things and leave then. Goodbye. Yeah, I really wish that I was living over there to see like actors and actresses that you see in movies and all.
Yeah, I mean, all you see is you just see how normal they are.
Yeah, it's pretty
They're
hilarious.
just human like us. Yeah.
Oh, I've met
Yeah.
a couple though, like but not in like a public place, like at cons or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's different.
Yeah,
they're
that's-
all
yeah,
kind
they're
of,
like-
they got handlers, and they're, putting on a little bit of a front there, like, they're not really relaxed. Like, it's different.
Of course.
I don't know. Michael Rooker's pretty cool. That's about
Oh,
it.
yeah. Yeah.
So, does the panel have anything more to say about the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise?
Really looking forward to Volume 2, and Volume 3 will probably be just as good.
Yep.
Yep.
I would hope so.
Nice, yeah. Great franchise. I think that was a jolly idea to have as a topic for this episode of the Backyard Watch podcast. So, yeah. And I apologize if I didn't talk a lot about Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm not a diehard fan of the series. Like, I just watched the movie. I haven't really consumed much of their media. I will make it a long-term mission to do that, though. Maybe I will definitely get the Eidos Montreal video game. I am extremely hyped for it because I love Eidos Montreal's what they did on the Deus Ex series. I love those games, and just I'm sure they will do well with Guardians of the Galaxy as a video game. And I am optimistic about the future of the franchise, especially now that I know there's a Volume 3. Holy cow, there's a Volume 3! Man, it's awesome. So yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy, everyone. Okay, so another great advantage that we have on the Backyard Watch podcast is that we can get people's reactions from famous events before any other podcast. Last week, we had Ben Hart's very first reactions. It is on our archives somewhere. I don't. It might be on a YouTube channel or something. I know that Ben Hart had his first reactions of Celebration because he did not have IPC last weekend because of Celebration. So, and we had his first reactions, and it was super jolly. And now, although it is a week later, Chris here, he was unable to join us on Backyard Watch podcast last Monday, and last Thursday he was unable to join the Star Wars Underworld podcast, which he co-hosts, because he was feeling a little bit under the weather. So now here we have Chris Sequel's first reactions from Star Wars Celebration Orlando 2017. Bring the hype. Star Wars is awesome. It's going nuts. Just let it all out, Chris. How was Celebration this year?
It was really cool. I mean, I think what's been interesting is afterwards reading everybody else's reactions to it, it sounds like it was actually a disaster for most people. I think the reason why I didn't really come off as an absolute disaster for me is because I've gone to so many celebrations and I've gone to just so many events that I've seen kind of like the very best and the very worst of how they can be handled, and I'm prepared for everything. It's kind of like the Boy Scout mentality, like be prepared for the worst that can possibly happen.
I know that if you've listened to episode 1 of the Backyard Watch podcast, you probably understand why it was a disaster. But I know there's probably going to be someone listening who doesn't know, who is just like, I don't know what happened. How was it a disaster? So, Chris, could you clarify why everyone was kind of freaking out about it? Like why you would say it was like a disaster?
I think the real cause of it was the fact that there was more people there than any other celebration in recent memory. I can't speak for the ones that happened when I was like really young because I didn't go to those, and I don't feel like they're really covered in the press much. So I don't even know how many people went to like the first like 3 or 4. But for the ones that in recent memory in the past like 10 years, without question, this was the one that had the most amount of people attending. I think they officially said that there were 70,000 people. However, when I was there, the security kept throwing around numbers like 90,000. So I don't know I don't think they even knew how many people were there. Like,
a lot.
So,
that's the answer.
I mean, by comparison, the one, the numbers I heard for the one at the same convention center 5 years ago was like 30 to 35,000. So it was like at least twice, close, but maybe even 3 times more people than the one that they were kind of basing it off of at that same convention center. So I think that's the stemming of a lot of the problems right there. Is there were just too many people and they didn't know what to do with them.
So in your opinion, should they ever return to that convention center?
No, well,
that
convention center is the biggest convention center
in Florida, or
the problem.
Okay.
No, in the United States.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. Some people, they're always expanding, so it's hard to really keep track. I think it's possible there might be a little bit more space in the Chicago one right now.
Yeah.
And you kind of keep going. Like when I was there last time, they said that was bigger. Now I'm hearing Chicago's bigger, so I think Chicago has a little bit of an edge right now. But they keep consistently, them and Chicago are always the top 2 in size.
Here's hoping that the next celebration is in Chicago then.
Well,
probably cheaper.
That's not the problem. The problem is they didn't use enough of the convention center.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem. Is that they I don't get it because like. Last celebration there, which was in 2012, they used like half the convention center or something, and that was fine for like 30,000 people. But this time they used like maybe 3/4 of it, and like I said, it like doubled or tripled. So it was very weird, and it was the other weird thing is it was very obvious that they were underutilizing it because what you ended up with was areas that were absolutely packed with people, and then areas where there was nothing. There was just emptiness. So like people were just standing around like, why are we all like packed in like sardines and feeling like we're like herded cattle in this section when we can look over there and see this big giant room where there's nothing.
Oh my god.
That's where I would have fell asleep.
Yeah. Well, that was another problem. But so that's one of the big problems. So anyway, because I've gone to so many conventions, I understand what it's like to wait in line for an absolutely like sinful amount of time for something. Mm-hmm. Like I understand what that's like because I've done it so many times. So like I understood like, you know, if you want to wait in line for like a really big panel where they're like revealing something like for instance, the panel for a new movie, like The Last Jedi panel, Force Awakens panel, etc.
Oh yeah.
If you want to wait in line for something like that, you probably don't want to wait in line just to be in the back of the room. So I'm used to getting in line like really, really early, like the day before for things like that. so that I can get like a really, really nice seat and, see everything and feel like I'm a part of everything that's going on and actually doing it live. Because if you're in the back of the room, all you're doing is you're looking at a screen. Like, it's not really like, you don't get
to see the people, yeah.
Yeah, you don't really see the people. You might be able to see like little dots in front of you, but like, it's just not the same. So anyway, we all knew like, okay, we need to like get in line. The first panel today of the convention was this 40th anniversary panel, which celebrated 40 years of Star Wars, and it was supposed to have. They had already announced a lot of really cool guests. One I was really hyped for was Hayden Christensen because he goes to so few conventions now. So it's very rare to see him.
Don't go too much on it. Wait till the hype factor to get really hyped about stuff.
You're right. So
Sorry,
I was definitely very hyped for that. And so, but then they also had said that there would be special guests, and I had heard rumors about who they would be. Like there were rumors going around that George Lucas would be there and Harrison Ford would be there, and those turned out to be true. So I knew like this is something you absolutely cannot miss, and you want to be as close as possible. So what ended up happening is, I got in line, like a day before, on Wednesday, and so did everybody else.
Oh,
because
no.
Here's the thing is, if you're at a normal, like, say, Star Wars convention and there's like 30, 40, 50,000 people, only, a certain percentage of people are going to want to get in line for the big panel. Only a certain percentage of people are going to want to sleep or get no sleep that night, and everybody else is going to want to just do other things. But the problem is when you get 70 to 90,000 people there, that with that percentage being the same, you end up doubling the amount of people that want to get into that panel. And obviously there's kind of like a bell curve of how early people get in line and when people show up. And obviously if you increase just the scale of the curve and you increase the amount of people wanting to get in line, the amount of people getting in line early increases. And what you end up with is everybody in line and too many people in line too early. And so what ended up happening was, even though I got there at just a normal time usually to just get like really, really good seats, what ended up happening is I ended up being like one of the last 100 people to get into the room of like several thousand.
Holy cow.
So then that was me being very careful and getting there really early. So what ended up happening was, and this is the first gigantic mistake that ReedPop or whoever was calling the shots made, is the first gigantic mistake that they made is that they decided it would be best to try to control the crowds by handing out wristbands at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, no.
And what these wristbands were is, you got the wristband, you could go in the room. If you didn't have the wristband, then you had to wait for everybody who already had a wristband to go in the room. And obviously, if they handed out all the wristbands, everybody's going in the room with wristbands. No one else is going to get in. So you had to have the wristband to get in the room to go to this thing. The thing is, they were handing them out at 6 a.m. Like I had just explained, because there's so many people going to this convention, and there's so many people that are so hyped for this panel that they want to get there super early, that you ended up with, I think the room was supposed to hold like 3,000 people. You ended up with all those 3,000 people waiting to get into the panel at like 10 p.m. the night before. So what ended up happening is everybody that came in after 10 p.m. had to wait until 6 a.m. to find out that there was no wristbands for them.
Oh.
So you ended up having up to 1,000 people waiting in line for 8 hours, getting either no or very little sleep because they had a DJ blasting music for half the thing. Waiting to get to learn that they weren't even going to get in. So they were mad. They were really, 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 really bad. And this problem could have been fixed really easily, because at San Diego Comic-Con, they do it exactly the same way, except there's one difference. They hand out the wristbands at nighttime, not in the morning. So if it had been done like San Diego Comic-Con. Once all those 3,000 people had shown up and the night before, they would have just given them all the wristbands and told them, come back and get in line in the morning. You'll have a spot, and however early you come is just, first come, first serve how close you'll get, but you're still guaranteed to get in. But that's not what they did. They had made everybody wait. So everybody who got into the panel had to stay up all night, and everybody who didn't get into the panel also had to stay up all night. And so this caused so many problems. Another problem that happened was that because a lot of people were there in groups, and not everybody could wait overnight because, say, they had flights coming in later, or they needed to go and check into a hotel or set up a booth or all this other stuff people were doing. They had people kind of groups, and then like a few people would wait in line for the entire group, and then everybody wouldn't show up till later. So if you thought you had a good spot in line, wait till the morning, you probably didn't. Like, for instance, we thought we had a really good spot because we're like, oh, there's not that many people in front of us, maybe like 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the morning, there's like 2,000 people in front of us because all these other people had come in. And they tried to stop it by closing things from 12 a.m. to 5 a.m., which was another weird thing that they did, is they locked everybody in with not a lot of food and not a lot of coffee or anything.
That's horrible.
And they had them in, and people couldn't come in and out of the building from 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. But again, before 12 a.m., people were filtering in to their groups. And then once 5 a.m., a bunch of people filtered into their groups because they had an hour to come in before they handed out the wristbands. So that was a disaster, but that was only like a minor thing. What made it worse was the fact that they then, when they actually decided to start letting people into the convention center. So this isn't the people that were waiting in line for the wristbands or after they got the wristbands to get into the panel room. This is just general people coming in to go to the convention floor, to go to the other panels, etc. When they decided to let them in, and again, this is between 70 and 90,000 people, and I'm not exaggerating here. There's that many people. It's like as many people as would go into a football stadium. They decided it would be a brilliant idea to make all those people go through 3 metal detectors.
Yeah.
So it took 3 hours to get into the building. So what ended up happening is there were people that got there around, say, 10 p.m. the night before. They had to wait in line for 8 hours. 5 of those hours they were under lockdown and couldn't leave to get anything or do anything. So they were 3 hours of freely going back and forth, 5 hours of being in lockdown and being stuck. And then after that, they were then told that they wouldn't get anything for waiting in line that long and had to go enter into the convention center through the metal detectors. And then they had to wait another 3 hours to actually get in. And by the time they had gotten in, they had missed half the convention and were just, had missed their autographs that they were going to get, had missed any other panels that they could have gotten into. And so they were really, 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 really mad. And
oh man.
And they were also tired because they hadn't slept in the day. So basically the first day of the convention was completely ruined for most people.
Completely? That's a little bit of hyperbole.
Well,
completely?
imagine that you're paying, hundreds of dollars. Let's say that you're paying hundreds of dollars for a ticket, and then on top of that, you're paying hundreds of dollars to get autographs. Let's say someone makes you wait in line for 11 hours without sleep to get nothing after you've paid that. Like, it's pretty bad. So anyway, after this all happened, ReedPop, they issued an official apology, and the next day they had more metal detectors. So it wasn't as bad for.
At least they alleviated the problem.
Yeah, they fixed that problem, but they didn't fix the wristbanding problem. So what ended up happening with the line is that people just had to get there even earlier. So people had to, I think the line was pretty much tapped at like 8 p.m. for the Last Jedi panel the next day. And this time people were being really like not violent, but really aggressive about the line, because there were people that had waited in line all night the night before and not gotten into anything, who then wanted to make sure that they got into something the next day, or otherwise it would be like a total bust because there were only 2 overnights to wait. So they would get in line, and then they would see people leave the line and come back, and they would get mad. And so there were like people threatening to call the police, and like it was like not a fun environment at all, because everybody was just tired and miserable, and like, you know, like they were all like watching each other like hawks. Like I remember we had like a group, but we kind of, because again we're veterans and we know kind of like tricks. We knew that when we got into our spot in line, we needed to make sure that we established boundaries of our space, so we wouldn't end up getting like crammed in and would have to be like, you know, all like sardines and stuff. So we all like laid all our stuff out immediately in kind of like a way that gave us like, you know, like a decent amount of space. We're not on top of each other, but then there's not like, say, unutilized space. But everybody else were just standing around like there. And as you know, when you're standing up, you take up way less space than if you're like laying down or sitting down. So everybody else is just standing around, and they're waiting for their bodies to tell them, oh, it might be time to, I'm a little tired, maybe sit down, lay down. Whereas we're already like camped out and like laying down and sitting down. And so we're like all like good and stuff. And then all the people around us get to the point where they're like, oh, I guess we should sit down. And so they all start sitting down, and they're like, wait a minute, there's not enough room for us to sit down. And then they look at us, and we're all like sprawled out like we're camping. And they got so mad. Like, who do you think you are taking all that space? And I was just like, we just know how to do it. Like, so it was weird, like really weird.
Well, let's steer the direction towards like towards the awesome side of Celebration. Okay. There were, as was mentioned in episode 1 of the Backyard Watch podcast, there was a lot of cool stuff that was announced at Celebration. Last Jedi, Rebels, Battlefront, Forces of Destiny, etc. I know we have a limited amount of time to talk about so much excitement about Star Wars, but what was your impressions of the reveals that we had during Celebration?
Well, I mean, kind of going chronologically, I mean, the first thing, Forces of Destiny was revealed before the convention. I think it like leaked or something. And then I ended up getting to see the first episode of that.
How was it?
It was
really.
definitely not as. It definitely was not as good as the Clone Wars microseries.
Yeah,
which is what I was thinking it would be. Yeah, no, it's very much like, you know, it very much looks like something that belongs on the internet. Like the quality of the animation is like super, super simple, and like the storyline, I mean, it was kind of like it feels like it doesn't really, at least the first one didn't really add anything. Mm-hmm. Like it was unnecessary. Basically, it was like filler. So I'm hoping that, you know, that some of the future ones will be better, because you can't imagine that the first of anything is the best. But you know, I'm not like super excited about it. Like, you know, I think it's good for certain demographics. Like, I mean, I'm excited for like children and like young girls, especially, that, you know, they have something that they can watch that, you know, it represents them really well and gives them something to aspire to do. Like, that's really great. So from like a political point of view, like it's good, but from like it just, if I were to like review it as like a critic, I would just say, like, you know, this is not anything to write home about. This is not at the same level of what we're used to seeing for most Star Wars animation.
Yeah.
So, you know,
how about Star Wars Rebels, the other animation?
They had announced. 4. Yeah, they had announced that this is the last season of Star Wars Rebels, and they showed the first episode of it. And first episode was pretty dark. Like, it was pretty heavy, and I think that if the rest of the season's like the first episode, then I think it's going to be good. But it's kind of Rebels can be deceptive. A lot of times they'll put a lot into their first episodes and last episodes, and maybe one middle episode, and then everything else will be kind of like, just okay.
Well, that's what TV shows tend to do.
Yeah, well, there's only going to be, I think, like 15 episodes in this last season. So I'm hoping that because there's like 6 or 7 less episodes than normal, that's, just 6 or 7 not so great ideas that got cut that we're never going to see. So I think I'm optimistic. I think this last season will be one of the best seasons, I think. But I think that this
Chris
is a good
confirmed
time.
it will be one of the best seasons. Season 4, let's go.
Yeah. Well, there's not a lot to choose from, but I think it will be better than the last few seasons. I think the last few seasons, the show kind of trying to find itself in. And I think the problem with Rebels is I feel like originally it was supposed to kind of tie into what was going on with Rogue One super closely and deal with like the Death Star and stuff. And there was a lot of hints about that in the first season. And you had like Tarkin playing a big role and stuff. And then after that, they like shifted, and then they kind of added Ahsoka and Thrawn and Maul into the storylines to kind of like.
It's more like a Clone Wars follow-up than a Rogue
Yeah,
One.
they wrapped up stuff from the Clone Wars. They brought in stuff from the expanded universe. It kind of the whole like idea behind that show kind of shifted, and I feel like at this point now it got kind of lost. Like, the original idea was good, and it's just they should have stuck with that, and because they didn't, it kind of got a little weird. And I think that then it went into this weird period where it took them a little bit to figure out what exactly the show was going to be. And now I think that they're at the point where they kind of wrote themselves into a couple of corners. One corner that they wrote themselves into is the structure of the show being about just like a few characters. Like, I think that's one major problem, is because you can only do so much with like Ezra and Kanan and Sabine and Hera and Chopper and Zeb. There's only so much you can do with them, especially with such a large galaxy and so many other interesting characters. To have every episode completely come from their perspectives as characters is like a really big corner to be in, and it's really hard to tell stories that are interesting and compelling about the other characters when you're always coming from that same reference point. So that's a problem. And then the other corner that they wrote themselves into is the show being on Disney XD and having to make sense to like 4-year-olds, because Clone Wars is a show. Well, I don't even think so with that. Like, I think that that Star Wars in general, like, it'll make sense to somewhat to like younger children, but it's also not restricted to that. It's not like everything in Star Wars isn't made to completely be digestible by children. It's only meant to just be watchable. And I think the problem with Rebels is they went too far. They went to a point where it had to be completely. Children had to understand everything that was going on, and you really saw that coming through, especially in the last season, when you were expecting the characters to grow up and be more adult, and like Ezra to start becoming an adult, and Sabine to start becoming an adult, and just start dealing more with adult things, kind of like we saw with Ahsoka and like the last few seasons of Clone Wars. Yeah. But instead, you had episodes where basically you characters just explaining things to the audience. Like, for instance, like when AP5 was going into that like station to steal those things, and he was just, instead of just doing it, he's telling everybody, he's literally talking to the camera and telling the camera what he's doing. Like, it's like, it like kind of, it's weird. So it doesn't feel like Star Wars. It feels like something else. So those are the two things. And I feel like because they did that and they established this is what the show is, and they can't really change that now, I feel like it's good that they're ending it, and that all the people working on it that are obviously immensely talented and have done amazing things with Star Wars and without Star Wars in their past have the opportunity to move on and actually realize their full potential again, because this was not it, unfortunately.
So yeah, Star Wars Rebels Season 4. Y'all gotta watch it. Disney XD, hype it up. Yes.
Chris, another thing that released was Battlefront, and I'm not aware. You've played Battlefront 1, right?
For some clarification, I have played Battlefront with Chris. Like,
you have?
A month or two
I don't remember if
I
Did I play it with you?
Very,
It was awesome.
very briefly.
I probably
Yeah.
did at one point or another.
It's better than very briefly, but better than not at all.
Yep.
So what do you
Yeah.
think of Battlefront 2, man?
That should have been Battlefront 1. Like,
True.
they should have just waited until they could put something out like that. I think it would have solved a lot of problems.
I understand why they did it for like a business standpoint. Like they made a lot of money because Star Wars was coming back in 2015.
Right.
EA paid a lot of money to do that.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah, they rushed it out to come out with Force Awakens, and that you know, that makes sense. But you know, I think it would have been better maybe if they had kind of explained to everyone kind of like, you know, this isn't really the full game. Like,
well,
instead
if they
of
did
trying
that,
to
nobody would
make
buy
out-
it. You know?
See, that's the thing, and that's the fine
That's
line that you have between brand integrity and making money. Like, and hopefully they didn't turn off so many people that, you know, this new one will sell fine and they'll be able to make more.
I don't know. We had more thoughts on episode 1 of the podcast, but notice how I'm promoting it a lot. But I think that Battlefront 2 will still sell almost or just as well because of the hype surrounding The Last Jedi. You know, there's going to be a lot of cool Star Wars stuff coming out at the end of this year, and I just think it's going to be really cool. And
yeah, no, I would hope that it would, just because it looks so much better. It seems to have fixed a lot of the problems that people had with the first one. Like, you know, I mean, I think historically speaking, the original Battlefront 2 sold better than the original Battlefront 1. So, you know, there's that precedent too.
So yeah, I can't wait to play with you again, Chris. I really hope so.
Yeah.
So, and how about the big Colossus? We're not going to spend as much time on this as we did in the last podcast. I think we spent almost a whole hour on it, but we don't have as much time now, unfortunately. But what the Last Jedi teaser trailer, man? What do you think, Chris? What was on your mind when you? I think you said you were at the panel. So you were at the panel, the Last Jedi panel.
Yes, I was.
What was going through your head during that trailer?
It was exciting. I think there were aspects of the panel that were more exciting than the actual trailer. The trailer didn't really reveal anything much, you know. So, but the panel, the thing I got out of it that I liked the most was talking about how much more involved Carrie Fisher is going to be in this film. Because that's one of the things I was disappointed by with The Force Awakens, is how little a role she had. And obviously knowing that this is going to be her last film, I'm like, I really, really want it to be, you know, a satisfying last film for her. So I was really excited that they had shown a lot of behind the scenes images of Leia and different scenes and different outfits. And then Rian Johnson talked about how he and Carrie worked together extensively on the script for that character and her lines, and how they kind of almost co-wrote them. And that excited me because I know that, you know, Carrie Fisher is a very, very good author, and has been known for many years to be like a script doctor, someone who actually fixes scripts that need fixing. And so, like, the fact that they involved her in the process of kind of developing, you know, her character for this movie, I think is really, really awesome move, and I'm really excited by that. So that's the thing that I'm most excited about. I mean, you know, everything else is kind of like you kind of take it for granted at this point. Like, oh yeah, there's going to be a lot of Luke, there's going to be a lot of Rey. Like, you know, those are things that are kind of expected. But the one thing I wasn't sure about was how much Leia there would be. And after going through that panel and seeing those photos and hearing those stories, it gave me a lot of confidence that, you know, she will have a really big role for this film, and this will be a fitting kind of send-off for her character, regardless of kind of how they end it with her.
Yeah, I just had a jolly idea that the panel here should predict. So, what do you all think that how will The Last Jedi open How will they
Oh.
intro it?
A montage of Rey being trained by Luke, all out Rocky style. You know those steps from The Force Awakens? They're coming back,
Nice.
and that's what she's gonna
Nice.
run.
I just
That's a
I mean
very
specifically
Philadelphia
like
thing
like
to
after
say.
the opening crawl, like what they're gonna do.
Oh,
Yeah, I think. I mean, they've said that they're gonna come in right where the last one came out. So, like, that wouldn't surprise me if they're right just
Did-
back on that island with Luke
I
and Rey
just think
talking to each
that's-
other.
I feel like there should be like every Star Wars movie right after the opening crawl, it goes through like some sort of scene that's happening in space. Maybe they'll just
Right.
re-show the Millennium Falcon going onto Ahch-To, like the end of the Force Awakens. Like that's what I was thinking.
probably.
Yeah, and
Something
like,
like
you
that.
know, what would kind of make the most sense to me would be to show something else that was happening somewhere else in the galaxy first, and because you know there's going to be a lot of stuff going on in the movie other than just Luke and Rey. So you know you maybe kind of intro that somewhere else first, and then cut to Luke and Rey after that. Like that
You know
that
what
would
you're
start
gonna
with
do?
a
That in the
space
sequel,
battle.
Everyone wants you to address that one subject, but you gotta distract the audience. Go to something else and then go back. They always do that in sequels. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I feel like they
Yeah.
should start with a space battle.
If a space
Not
battle,
not that space battle in the trailer. I don't think that'll.
like something small, like
Well, that's
Yeah,
kind of how that's kind of how episode 3 started.
Yeah.
Was with the space battle. So kind of maybe something like that, or
that was a huge
episode
space battle. But
well,
yeah.
episode 4 started with a really tiny space battle between just two ships, and one of them wasn't really even fighting back. So it's like maybe something halfway between those two. I can kind of
Either
see
that or.
I actually
Wait, go ahead.
or
I was going to.
I was
say-
just gonna
oh,
say.
yeah, go, go,
We're the
Chris.
same person. We can't prove it otherwise. I was just gonna say that I had a dream the other night about how it started, but I kind of forgot it now. I think it was just like some random barren moon or something, and it was like a spiraling shot in space of it or something. Like it was weird.
I'm thinking
Man.
we start off with Snoke and Kylo Ren first.
Ooh, snap! Oh boy!
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm very curious about
Okay.
that. Like I really, and that's something they didn't show a lot of in
Yeah.
the trailer, and that's one of the reasons why like this trailer to me like it's tough because like the first Force Awakens trailer, even though it didn't show a lot, it was really amazing because it's the first time we saw all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh man, like this is what Stormtrooper armor looks like. This is what Kylo Ren looks like, and it's what Crossguard
BB-8.
lightsaber looks like. That's what BB-8 looks like. It was that's what was so cool about it. Whereas this time, it's like they're revealing kind of a similar amount. It's like a teaser trailer, but again, we've seen a lot of this stuff before. It just looks slightly different, and so it's
I still
kind
love
of
it.
that's why it's like I'm kind of waiting for that kind of more full trailer where it kind of gets more into like the story and kind of what's going on, and that's going to be more interesting.
I
to
just
me.
hope we don't get too many trailers.
I think we got so. I think the amount for the Force Awakens was good. I mean, if you ignore the
Yeah.
TV trailers, because you don't like trailers, you got to ignore those 30-second ones because they keep changing them like one scene in each one and making a new one, and there's like 30 by the end of it.
Yeah.
But,
I tend to stay away
with
from
Force
them.
Awakens, it was good because you had the first one that that again, like you showed you everything for the first time, and then the second one revealed Han Solo and Chewbacca, and then that one was really really big. And then they gave you a behind the scenes thing after that,
Yeah.
which was cool. And then after that, the next full trailer was kind of like a storyline trailer that kind of walked through kind of the whole story of the movie a little bit, and even showed bits of like the end. And then that was kind of that was like the full on trailer. And then after that, it was just a bunch of like 30-second ads and stuff. So I
Yeah.
think they might even do the same thing, but like there might be one less trailer than before, because it's just with the timeline. Remember, it was the second trailer that came out in April for Force Awakens, whereas we're only at the first trailer coming out in April. So we might be skipping one unless they, instead of doing a behind the scenes thing, they do another trailer in its place in the summer.
Yeah. I'm intrigued that you think of the trailer like that. We did note that while it is similar to The Force Awakens, it's still kind of like you're looking at the trailer and you're like, whoa, look at that, holy cow. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, I'm intrigued by your opinion of it. So yeah, I mean that's awesome. It sounds like a lot of crazy stuff happened at Celebration. What was the most worthwhile thing that you got there? Whether it's an autograph or just like an experience or whatever. What was the best part of Celebration for you?
So the best part of this one was definitely the 40th anniversary panel. Which, again, because I got into it, I wasn't mad about having to wait for so long to get into it, because I got into it. I was in the back of the room, but I was still satisfied.
Hey, I
feel bad. I feel bad for anybody who waited all night and couldn't get in. But I got in, so that negated all the hardships trying to get in. But obviously it was great, seeing George Lucas and Harrison Ford, and I've seen them before, so I mean, I hate to sound like jaded, but it's just not the same once you've done it a few times. It's not the same level of excitement, but it's still pretty cool, and I'm excited for everybody who got a chance to see them for the first time there, because that's an amazing experience and once in a lifetime experience for most people. But the thing that was a once in a lifetime experience for me, and was a complete surprise that I did not expect, was John Williams being there, and John Williams composing 3 Star Wars pieces on the stage there. Like, that was one of the most moving, incredible things that I've ever been a part of in my whole life, because I think a lot of people, would agree, John Williams is like the Beethoven of our time.
Oh, definitely.
The amount that he has affected film composition, which is our version of classical music, it's unparalleled, and there's just no one that you can point to that even comes close to the level of John Williams, and just how prolific he's been, and how he just continues to put out score after score after score, and it doesn't slow down even though he's in his 80s. It's absolutely incredible. And so and that is something that I've wanted to do. I've wanted to have the opportunity to see him, compose in person my whole life, and getting that opportunity was absolutely incredible. And the way that it was done, the way that panel was managed, it could not have been designed any better. I mean, it was so beautiful. You had that speech by Carrie Fisher's daughter, Billie Lourd, that was just so brave and so inspirational and moving, and something that so few people could have the poise to do. And then you had wonderful tribute to Carrie Fisher, and then to end that tribute by the way that they and I think that if you'd watched the live stream you would have seen this too, but how it kind of played off in the room is that everybody's just really kind of quiet and reminiscing, and then the camera kind of cuts into the room, and you see a shot of John Williams with his his composition wand or whatever, and there's some people who kind of shout and scream a little bit, and he turns around and looks at the camera and puts his finger over his mouth and shushes the audience. And that is the most quiet I have heard 3,000 people be in my whole life. I don't think that it is humanly possible for 3,000 people to be more quiet than they were at that second. It was like the air had been just completely taken out of the room. You could literally hear a pin drop if someone had dropped it. And then it was like that throughout the entire, performance of Leia's theme, which everybody was just completely emotional through. And then after that, he went on to the Star Wars main theme, and it just still, even then, everybody still had to kind of not regain their composure, because we're all just sitting around thinking we're here we're in the same room as like the Beethoven of our time. Like, this literally is a moment that will be written about, and people will know that this happened like 1,000 years later. Like, this absolutely incredible. And then it wasn't until he got to the third song, the Imperial March, that I think people started perking up a little bit and actually were able to kind of enjoy it a little bit and not just like be shocked at what was happening. And so like, there were some that was definitely like the highlight of it for me. And just, it's just to wrap it up like with that panel, just to say there was other moments in that panel that like, you could tell how connected everybody in that room was. Like, for instance, at the beginning when Kathleen Kennedy went to try to introduce George Lucas, everybody was sitting down, and she literally, I can't remember exactly what she said, but she didn't even say the words George Lucas or the founder of Star Wars or anything like that. She's just like, we have a very special guest. And literally, that's all she said. And everybody in that room, when she said that, knew it was George Lucas and stood up at the exact same time and started clapping. And I've never experienced anything like that in my life, and I don't think I ever will again. To have 3,000 people just realize at the same second what she's about to say, and to just like all stand up at the same, like, how sometimes the standing ovations happen, like the people in the front will stand up first and then it's like a wave. No, like everybody, I was in the back of the room, the person behind me stood up at the same second as the person in the front row. Like, it was insane. And then people were just clapping, and then she just introduced him over to people screaming and shouting, and then he walked in. Oh my God. It was incredible. So it's like, those are despite the fact that there were lots of mistakes made, and Reed Pop and Lucasfilm and Disney and whoever else was involved, they need to learn a lot from this experience. They need to learn a lot about how to make it better for when there's more people there than they expect. Despite that, these things are still obviously worth going to. There's a reason we're not crazy. There's a reason why we wait in line overnight for things like that, because these are literally like, like mind-altering, life-changing experiences that, you will never forget, that you'll be telling your kids and your grandkids about, and you hope will never be lost in time. Like, it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
You hear that, Eric? We're going to the next celebration.
Yep, we have to. Okay, we're confirming it today.
We have to, man. Life-changing.
Backyard Watch will have its own panel at Celebration 2019. Calling it now.
Let's do it. So, anyways, wow, that was some touching stories there, Chris. Thank you for sharing them. We're almost done with the Backyard Watch podcast. We just have one more segment that, Chris, don't worry, you will participate in this. No. And it's just a segment that will end after every single Backyard Watch podcast episode. And it is a segment that gets me so jolly and excited. It is called The Hype Factor. Hype! You got a hype on it, y'all. Woo! This is The Hype Factor. And this is the last segment of the show where everyone on the panel describes one thing that they are hyped about, what they are really enthusiastic and excited about. So, Chris Sequel, what are you hyped about?
Oh my gosh. This is interesting. Just to go off of what we were talking about at the beginning of the show, like, I'm excited for Guardians of the Galaxy to be back and Volume 2 to come out, in just several days. Like, it's been a long wait since the last one, and like I said, the people I know who have seen it say it's really, really good, and I'm super excited to be entertained by what is my favorite Marvel superhero sub franchise.
Oh, that's a great hype factor for you, Chris. Thank you. Eric Wall Jr., what are you hyped about?
All right, I'm hyped about the final episode of Guardians of the Galaxy, the Telltale game, because now I just want to hear Groot and play as Groot.
I am Groot.
And I want every single answer to be I am Groot.
I am Groot.
Yep.
Man, I am Jeffrey White, and I am hyped for. I'll also revert back to the topic of the day, Guardians of the Galaxy. I am hyped for the upcoming video game from Eidos Montreal. Over the past year, I have fallen in love with the Deus Ex series and the 2 games that Eidos Montreal developed for consoles. It's fascinating the amount of freedom they give you. That like you can collect stuff, you can defeat an enemy any way you wish. You can kill him, or you can just knock him unconscious. Like, it's fascinating. Like, there's a story with each little interaction that you have. So I am curious how they're going to use that with Guardians of the Galaxy. It opens up the imagination, just the idea of it. You could do team-based gameplay, or you could do like little linear stories, kind of like what the Telltale series kind of did. So I am just hyped for the future of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm also hyped for the future of Star Wars. Yeah, Star Wars, Last Jedi hype. And in addition to that, it is almost finals week for me. I am hyped to get school over with. Let's go.
Nice.
This is the Backyard Watch podcast. Yeah, Eric, we got some social medias, right?
Yep.
What's the Backyard Watch social media?
All right, we got Facebook, Backyard Watch. We got Instagram, BYW Pod, and Twitter, which is also BYW Pod. We now have a YouTube.
For clarification, it is spelled BYWPOD.
Thank you.
BYW Pod.
All right, and then we also got a YouTube channel now, which if people are listening to this on YouTube, you already know that one. It is the Backyard Watch podcast on YouTube, and if you want us for email, it's backyardwatch@gmail.com. Yeah, that's it.
What an episode. Great job, panel.
Chris, you want to plug stuff?
Yep.
Keep listening to Channel 1138, yo.
So, let's see. Channel 1138 schedule for this week. Let's see what I remember. I believe tomorrow night we'll have the Sage and McMahon podcast. I still don't know what time that is. I need to look up that. I need to look up more information.
You're gonna have to pay attention to when they start. And
yeah, I
remember.
have to pay attention, man. I gotta keep up. Wednesday night, I believe it's 10 p.m. Eastern.
Yep.
Star Wars Wastelands. Super jolly show, as I've said before. Everyone should listen to it.
Everybody needs to listen. Go back to the episode where me, Ben, and Dominic all did a trivia showdown against each other.
Oh,
Like that was really fun, and I won't spoil it, but it basically ended like the Oscars. It was very controversial and crazy.
Uh-oh.
wow. I gotta listen.
Definitely worth listening to.
How recent was that?
Thursday. Yeah, Thursday
It was
night.
I think it was in like February
Okay.
at some point. Like, yeah. Hopefully
Wow.
they labeled it in a way that is easy to find. If not, you can ask them which one
Let's
it
hope.
is.
All right.
Thursday night on channel 1138, we have the great podcast that Chris is one of the hosts of, the Star
It's a
Wars
little-
Underworld podcast.
That one's a little show.
It's
I
not like it's
think-
the most popular show on the station or anything.
I think this week, I think we're gonna be talking about the first day of celebration. So we're gonna be going over like that 40th anniversary panel and a few other things
sweet.
from that first day.
So-
The Drowning in Moonlight Gala. We'll be talking about that.
If you liked the great reactions that Chris has had about Star Wars Celebration Orlando on today's episode, go listen to the Star Wars Underworld podcast.
Yeah,
He
you
will
get to
more in
hear
detail.
how. You get to hear how good I am about just repeating myself. Like, I'm like, what did I say? That sounded really nice, but I just gotta remember what I said. Say it again.
And then Friday night, I believe it is on this week, everyone's favorite show,
Yep.
the Intergalactic Peace Coalition podcast, it's hosted by Ben Hart, who was on the show last week, and Zach Arnold, who was in the chat last week. So that's a super jolly show. Great way to spend Friday night, man. I was listening to it last week. It was pretty top notch. It was
I
awesome.
got to listen to some.
I listen unless they're talking about something I'm not caught up with, and then I don't.
Yeah.
So I don't get spoiled. But when I like it when they do the top like 5 or top 10 lists, and have people like send those in, and then they discuss them. Like those are my favorite shows.
Oh yeah, and yeah, just And yeah, so many cool things to listen to on Channel 1138. There's podcasts all around, great archives and iTunes and stuff. Just look up the show reel. A lot of cool stuff. And Everything Geek podcast airs every once in a while. They got a cool interview. They got some good discussion.
Yeah, they recently, I forget her name. They recently had the girl who plays Selena Kyle on Gotham. Yeah, which I listened to.
I know who you're talking about.
I forget her name. It's Cameron.
Wow, that is so cool.
Something. We're great podcast hosts.
Look it up in the show, Bill. You'll find it. And whenever we're not airing podcasts, this channel is airing music all the time.
Yeah.
Are we still? It's weird that I have to ask you guys this because I'm the one who set it up. But are we still doing the awesome mix?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
I've been listening to that all week.
I'm gonna run that until Volume 2 comes out, and then I'm gonna switch over to Volume 2.
Awesome Mix Volume 2. But yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, this is Backyard Watch episode 2. Thank you all for listening, whether it's live or through the archive.
Or even on Facebook. Facebook.
Oh,
That'd be funny because we never know how many people are listening on the archives because it's just not the website we use doesn't tell us. So wouldn't it be funny to find out?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny to find out? Wouldn't it be really funny to find out later that there's like 100,000 people on the archives and we never knew it?
We'll find out at the next celebration.
Well, here's the thing: is they would only know us by our voices. So it's the reason why you don't get recognized. Like, imagine you're checking out at the grocery store and the cashier is always listening to you and knows who you are, but they don't know your face, but they actually know you. They're like, "Oh yeah, Backyard Watch is my favorite podcast." It's so weird.
But yeah, thanks for being a guest on, Chris.
Yeah.
You are welcome back to any or all future episodes. We would love to have you back.
Yeah,
man.
to the podcast that you created.
Well, technically, Eric and I made the podcast. Yeah. Chris had the original idea 3 years ago.
The show itself is Chris's.
We should do that again. Just random Saturday night, just have Chris in his backyard talking about crickets or whatever's in LA.
He lives in LA now. I don't think we're gonna listen to crickets.
Do they have crickets in LA?
Yeah, there's got to be crickets somewhere. I'll find.
Oh yeah, you'll find him. And anyways, for Chris Sequel, here's our wonderful guest, and Eric Wall, who was my co-host. Yeah. He shares it with me, I promise. I am Jeffrey White, wishing you a happy Monday. Have a great week full of hype and jolliness.
Hype.
Goodbye.
Good night, everyone. Oh boy.